Hi, folks. I'm Dale Davis, pastor of Wentz's United Church of Christ. Our Lenten theme this year is wilderness. And since last March, we've all been dealing with COVID-19. It's put us all into the wilderness. There are lots of powerful stories in the Hebrew scriptures about wilderness. And today I want to talk about one of those stories found in the first chapter of the book of Deuteronomy. You may be aware the people of Israel, with God's help, were provided safe passage out of Egypt, where they had been enslaved. And they traveled through a terrible wilderness and had an opportunity to enter the promised land. They even sent some spies into the promised land to check it out. And when those spies reported back, they said this land God had promised had lots of produce. It was very fertile. Everyone was excited. And then the spies added that the land was also occupied by others who looked bigger and who looked stronger. And that's when the fears started. And the fears grew bigger and bigger. Fears of the unknown. The Israelites began to blame God for leading them out of Egypt into a dead-end desert. The Israelites grumbled, they complained, and they blamed. Instead of going into the promised land, they hunkered down in their tents and remained in the wilderness. I call it the Wilderness TwoStep. We start out trusting God. We trust the promises, the vision. We take a step ahead. But when any obstacle surfaces, when things become a bit unclear, when we're not sure of the future, we step back. One step forward, one step back. This Wilderness TwoStep happens to us as individuals. It also happens to us as congregations. When we're in the wilderness, the voice that gets amplified the loudest is the voice of fear. We've all been there. And so we grumble, we complain, we blame, and we stay immobilized. But what if the true voice, the holy voice, God's voice, is the voice of abundance? What if the voice of God is saying to us, I will lead you, I will care for you, I will love you? What if wilderness isn't about fear after all, but instead about trusting the voice of God? What if Lent is all about coming to trust the voice of God over the voice of fear? The Israelites continued to wander. They continued to struggle. They continued to founder until they finally understood what it meant to trust God. And it took almost 40 years of wandering before they eventually entered the promised land. For those of you who are feeling wilderness in whatever way, I encourage you to name the fear, and then with someone you trust, share that fear. Naming and sharing is a form of prayer. For those church communities who continue to believe they have a mission, a destiny, and a future, don't be afraid to take the necessary risks in order to move ahead. There will always be naysayers and fear spreaders. There is the voice of fear, and there is the voice of God, a God whose abundance we need only to trust. And that is good news. God bless you and peace. Goodbye.